What's up, everybody? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And today, I want to continue to talk about comfort zones and more specifically, a strategy to help you leave your comfort zone. So in the past couple of episodes, we've been talking about comfort zones and how that is the idea of a comfort zone is completely imaginary. It's completely made up by you and by me in order to protect ourselves from things that we're most vulnerable about. And yesterday, we finally talked about the 5 steps to leave your comfort zone, which I'm learning from The Brave Athlete, which is a sports psychology book by Dr. Simon Peterson. And real quick, the process is the following. Number 1, choose the comfort zone that you want to bust out of. So this is where you think about what are those actions that you want to take, but you haven't taken yet. And these are those things that are maybe holding us back from being happier or more athletic or more fulfilled in our lives. So choose the comfort zone that you want to bust out of. Then 2, you can start by watching. And that's just starting by simple observation. So that's if you want to complete a half Ironman, go to an event and just watch. Sit in the bleachers or go to the finish line. And just the simple act of watching somebody else succeed gives you that self-confidence and that self-belief that you can do it too. And it's super easy to do because you just show up and you just observe. So that's number 2. Number 3 is to pre-create the fear. So it's to actually jump into the future. The authors call it the mental time travel. And it's pretend that you're in that scenario that you fear the most. Pretend that you're intimidated. Maybe it's a swimming class. Maybe it's biking with a group of people who are maybe a little bit better than you. And you start to kind of activate all of the 5 senses to understand what is it going to feel like, see like, taste like when you're in that scenario. And you start to run through those scenarios. And you can see yourself struggling with these things that you're worried about, but you can also see yourself kind of coming up with a plan to address them. And that plan is actually the step 4, which is deconstruct the scenario. So this is where you write down things that you're secretly worried about, things that things that you should say to yourself if you do encounter that scary situation, and then one thing that you will actually do if that does happen. And then the 5th step, once you've done that, is to just take the plunge and take the action. Sometimes it requires a little bit of a nudge. Sometimes it requires you to stay calm, or sometimes it requires somebody to just scream and yell at you to take that first step. And of all of those steps, the one that I felt like was just the most kind of actionable and the most valuable is deconstructing the scenario, which is step 4. And I talked about it yesterday, but I want to go into a little bit more detail on it and share a specific example of it. So deconstructing the scenario is where you can make a list or on a piece of paper, draw out 3 columns. And in those 3 columns, I want you to write think in the first column, talk in the middle column, and act in that 3rd column. And what we're going to do is we're going to deconstruct the scenario that you're most worried about. In the think column, these are going to be the things that I'm secretly worried about happening. What are all of the things that if you put yourself in this, quote unquote, intimidating scenario, what are all the things that you're secretly worried about happening? Get as many of those as you can on paper, write those down in a specific row within the think column. Then in the talk column, that is, what are 2 positive things I will say to myself if the thing that I'm afraid about does happen? So talk is 2 positive things you'll say to yourself. What does that positive self-talk look like? Put yourself in that scenario. If you're scared, something happens, something comes up, there's an obstacle. What are you going to say to yourself? Or what could you say to yourself that could help you stay calm, that could help you take that next step? Then the last column, act. What is one positive thing I will do if the thing that I'm afraid about does actually happen. So this is where you take action, okay? So it's kind of thinking through what's the worst case scenario, something I'm afraid of actually happens, and then what are you going to do about it? What are the actions that you could take to deal with it? So like I said, I think this is one of the most practical parts of this framework that they're sharing. And I want to go through it and talk about a comfort, maybe a comfort buster is what they call it. But I want to talk through a scenario of maybe you're worried about racing in your first triathlon. So maybe that is something that sounds intimidating to you, or it sounds kind of scary right now. And I want to go through this framework and talk through what that would look like. So at the top, I would put, something I'm worried about or afraid of, and I would write in racing in my first triathlon, 3 columns, think, talk, act. So I'm going to go through the think, the first things that I came up with the think column. So the first thing would be that I have a panic attack in the water. That's the one thing I'm worried about. What are 2 positive things I could say to myself if that does happen? Mario, stay calm. And Mario, you've got this. So those are just 2 positive things I could say. And then act. What's one positive thing I will do if that does happen? I can stop and I can hang on to a buoy or a kayaker and pause and catch my breath. So hopefully that helps you see okay, going from a panic attack, which is terrifying, to, okay, that's what the self-talk would look like, and that's the action that I can take. Those might be, that might relieve some stress that you might have. So let's keep going. I've got a couple of other examples. So thing I'm secretly worried about happening, I'm forced to walk during the run. So it's the end of the triathlon. There's a bunch of people watching. You want to be, looking good and strong, but you're tired, you're exhausted, you're forced to walk. 2 positive things I will say to myself: slow and steady wins the race, or you can do this, just keep moving and just don't stop. So keep moving your legs. Act. What's one positive thing I can do if I'm forced to walk during the run? I can give myself 30 seconds and then I will just start to jog. So that's another example. Let's go to another one. Not having the right equipment that I need. This is a big one because a lot of people say that they don't have a bike or they don't have all of this, a race watch, goggles, aero bars, food, gels, nutrition, whatever that is. Everybody kind of freaks out with triathlons over not having the right equipment that I need. So maybe you're worried that you're going to forget something that is super important. So not having the right equipment that I need on race day. 2 positive things that I can say to myself if it does happen. So you can just say, well, I can just borrow from people that I know, or I can borrow from some of the volunteers on the course. And one action you could take, you could ask a coach or a friend, somebody who's already completed it, what exactly you need. That's another example. One more, feeling self-conscious in your swimsuit or your bike shorts. That happens a lot with triathletes. So 2 positive things. You could just say, nobody cares what I look like, and everybody else probably feels the same way. Action. How can you address that? You can just kind of fake the confidence by pretending that you feel great, put your shoulders back, your head up, and walk confidently. One other one. Not being able to get up early for workouts. Okay. This is something that a lot of people are worried about. Oh, if I'm going to be training for a triathlon, I'm going to have to get up early and I'm not going to be able to get up early for workouts. So let's pretend you're having a hard time with that. What are some positive things you can say to yourself? You can say, come on, Mario, get up. Or you can list out, these are all the reasons why I want to do it. I need to get up because of X, Y, or Z. I need to get up because I want to be healthy. I need to get up because this is going to give me more energy. Start to think about that self-talk. And then the action. What's one action that you can take if you're having a hard time getting out of bed? At the count of 30, just get straight out of bed. That's the action. So that's just an example of the think, talk, and act framework from the brave athlete. And hopefully that helps you see the value in doing this exercise to kind of jump into the future, envision yourself in the middle of a scary or an intimidating situation, and then go through this exercise. List out what are all the things that you're afraid of happening. What are 2 positive things that you can say to yourself? And then what's one specific action that you can take in that scenario? Because I think you see after going through this that this kind of eliminates a lot of that fear. Because when you proactively understand and address the things that get in your way, and then you proactively come up with a plan that you can put in place when it does happen, then you're just free to be who you are and show up as the very best version of yourself. And that's why I wanted to share that with you. So what's something that you are putting off or have been thinking about doing, but you're kind of afraid to break out of your comfort zone? What is that thing for you? And could this think, talk, act chart or exercise be exactly what you need to do? So that's what I have for you today. I hope that helped, and I hope you all have an amazing day.